this is your time. You'll speak your mind with me, no, waste it. You wanna waste it.
So, today I listened to this new Toliver album, Lovesick. One of many records that dropped this week. This week was by far the most stacked of the year so far, and it's good to see that we're finally getting some music to drop. Toliver alongside Yeats and Key Glock and Logic and a Babytron EP and a Weekend single. So much came out this week. I'm gonna see if I can get to it all, but we're starting with the one I was definitely most anticipated for. I would definitely say that I'm a Don Toliver fan. You know, I'm a big supporter of Heaven or Hell, which I think is the most unappreciated and underlooked at album of the past 5 years maybe. But his sophomore album, Life of a Don, really failed to meet the expectations that Heaven or Hell set for me. And, well, at least for me, it feels like this third album is going to be my decision on where Don Toliver stands as an artist and within his discography. If you saw my last video, then you know that this was actually on my list for one of the most anticipated albums of the year. I'm very excited. We know that Utopia is coming this year, confirmed by Travis, and this, in a way, is sort of beginning the rollout of that for Cactus Jack entirely as a label. I was very excited for this, and now that we've got it, I finally gotten a chance to sink my teeth into it, and I've definitely got some things to say. And speaking 100% honestly, my very first listen, I wasn't very impressed. But with a few more listens and with more time, I honestly feel I'm more 50-50 more than anything else. Great production as always, as we are to expect from a Toliver album, with great vocals and mostly pretty good vocals and harmonies and melodies and all this, but I feel like a lot of the tracks fall flat. Which starts off with the intro Lovesickness, which I think does okay, but then falls around towards the end. It does a well enough job of setting up for the rest of the album, but I can't help but feel it turns a little bland and honestly feels empty. However, thankfully, that is followed up by one of the best songs on the album, Let Her Go, which is an absolutely lovely song with a phenomenal hook that sounds like it came straight out of Heaven or Hell. And if it sounds like that, then you know I'm gonna eat that shit up. However, when James Blake finally gets on the track, I think the track slows down a bit, and I think it definitely loses a lot of tempo and flow it had going. I kind of really just wish Toliver stayed on this one on his own. However, the first half is strong enough to stand on its own and really elevate the song to a great one. So far, I think the album's starting off pretty good. Unfortunately, this is followed up by probably one of my least favorite songs of the year. Leave the Club probably at least has the worst hook of the year so far. I don't know what Toliver thought he was doing when he was doing this little baby voice and this annoying ass pitch with this awkward flow pattern. It's just not it. I hate it and it sounds like shit. I think the Dirk verse is good, but at the end of the day, I think that Toliver hook is just not redeeming enough. The beat does eventually switch and Toliver is on it for a little bit, but that little performance is already better than his first half of the song. Followed by that beat switch, we hear a verse from Glorilla, which I thought was good enough. I think the beat switch definitely suited her more, and I think she was the best part of the song. She definitely sounds more comfortable on this beat than I think she would if she rapped on the first one. Her and Dirk did pretty good. I don't know what Toliver was thinking on this one. And that's followed by another one of my least favorite songs on this album, For Me. It's just the most bland and generic and lifeless love song. I can't say anything good about it. Okay, that's a lie. Kali Uchis is great, but she plays such a minor role in the song. She's barely even in it. She doesn't sing a hook, a few lines on the bridge, and that's it. And he had the nerve to drop this on Valentine's Day too. I know it's with Kali Uchis and they're like a thing together, whatever, but like, there are songs later on this album that I think he should have dropped instead of this one, because this is just, he should have just kept this one in the vault. It's generic, it's bland, and it's boring. Following track, Go Down, on the other hand, is a pickup for the rest of the album. I can't really pinpoint what I like so much about this song, but it just feels like a good, classic Toliver song. This is that good work from that not so beautiful man that I love to hear. One of the best on the album. And that's followed by another great song, Time Heals, which I severely underrated on my first listen. It just feels like the more the song plays and the more you listen to it, the better and better it gets. I can't deny that this song is heavenly and that outro is beautiful. The song Leather Coat is yet another song with a beat switch in the middle. I think both sides of the song are fine enough as it is, but lately the more I listen to this one, the more I start to lose interest in it a little bit. I do enjoy the second half of this song, however, it feels a little more suspense and mysterious, and I like it. Like, the longer it goes, the lower the pitch gets, and I like it. I think it's a nice touch. Honeymoon, however, is wow. At the beginning of the song, Don does what sounds like his Anderson .Paak impression. I heard he was supposed to be on the album. I would assume he was probably supposed to be on this song, because he sounds a lot like him on the intro. But for the rest of the song, he gives us a mediocre performance with this mid-ass beat that I'm not a fan of. I don't like it. The song just falls flat, and it just sounds like a lot of nothing is happening. Thus far, we've definitely had a trend of just these melodic, soothing type of beats, and this next song, Private Landing, the 808s kind of hit you out of nowhere. I was genuinely surprised. It does tame out eventually though, however, I think Toliver and Future did have great performances on the track. But I'm so 50-50 on this Justin verse. I feel like I kind of like it, but I also feel like I kind of hate it. It's just, I don't know how to feel about it. I think this Justin verse sometimes is just a little awkward, because sometimes it feels like he's building up to something and then he just doesn't do anything with it, and then he builds up again and doesn't do anything with it. It feels like a bit of a roller coaster, and this whole time he's doing this whole little low singing, rapping voice that I'm not too much of a fan of. At the same time, I kind of like it. I don't know, man. Maria, I'm Drunk, this is not. Slow Motion, on the other hand, is crazy. It feels so unique, and I feel as if the album had much more of this type of sound to it, it could have been a lot better than I think it is. These vocals and flow patterns, they're just catchy, man. I fuck with this song. Heavy. Do It Right was the only single I have heard beforehand. Any others that came out, I hadn't until I finally listened to the project itself. This single actually didn't help me with the excitement for the upcoming album. I think the song was very underwhelming when I first heard it, and I think it's very underwhelming now. The next track, If I Had, has to be the best on the project for me. I think Toliver's music is at its best when the music is simple. I feel like Toliver's having this problem where he feels the need to complicate a lot of his music when I don't think it has to be that way. This hook is gorgeous, the feature is amazing, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. If you break it down, it's not that complicated, but like I said, it really doesn't need to be when it comes to a Don Toliver song. My favorite Don Toliver song, Company, really doesn't have that much to it, but that's what makes it great. It allows him to use his amazing voice to propel the song and let it stand out. That's how he can make music best. When it's simple, it allows him to show off these abilities that he has. And I just think that strives really well on here. And speaking of Company, here we have part 3. Like I said, the original Company is my favorite Don Toliver song, so I remember when Life of a Don came out, part 2 came out, and now with Lovesick we have part 3. I realized that they're all very different. While sharing a name, I really don't think all of them are all too similar. Also don't think any of them really hold a candle to part 1. That being said, part 3 feels very underwhelming to me. I know all the Company songs are very different, but I don't think that makes part 2 or 3 very good to me. I'm not a fan of this one. And I had high expectations for this next one, man. Bus Stop with Brent Faiyaz is not that good. I wish they spent more time on their verses. I'm not a fan of this beat, and it just sounds like to me that Brent doesn't really care. I don't see myself returning to this song, and I don't think it was that good. One of the best hooks on the whole album have to go to the song Cinderella. Another song which I definitely underrated my first listen. I would definitely go back just for that hook alone. And to tie the whole album up with a beautiful tie, we have the song Encouragement. I think the album ends on a really good note with Toliver really taking in his accolades and accomplishments. Saying he's never felt like this, how he had a hell of a year, how he's on his curry now, that type of stuff. Speaking from a doubter's point of view, saying who encouraged him, it's all tying up to his career. I think it's a great outro, and it definitely ends the album better than it started. Overall, I still think Lovesick is a mixed bag for me. There are definitely songs I love, but there are definitely songs I really don't. I definitely love more songs than I hate, but there are also a bunch that fall in this sort of middle category for me. I think the record was well produced, and for the most part had well written verses, amazing vocals, and great melodies, which, like I said, is really all we need in a great Toliver album, and I think for the most part, we got that. It's Don Toliver, you know? You're going in expecting all these beautiful hooks and auto-tuned vocals. It's what I expected. For the most part, I think this album succeeded more than it failed. The record definitely stands up on its own. My top 3 tracks of the album would have to be If I Had, Go Down, and Slow Motion. Overall, I think this album gets a grapefruit slice out of 10. But, as always, that's just my opinion. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like for me. If you think I'm cute and adorable, you should subscribe and hit the bell while you're at it. And definitely make sure to let me know your opinions on this Don Toliver album in the comments so we can discuss. My name is Emilio, and until next time, I'm out.
I like men.